First, to the growing crisis in Iraq, President Obama sending nearly 300 U.S. troops to the embattled country as militants continue their murderous advance towards Baghdad. Let's bring in today's panel. Fox Business's Tracy Burns, Fox News' Brian Kilmeade, and New Oak President James Frischling. Brian, what do you think of this one?
Well, what I think of this one is 300 purely security. I mean, what do we have? 125,000 troops during the surge, and that barely got it done. So I don't expect them to make any significant gains. I don't think a decision's been made yet, which is staggering. A decision should have been made Friday or Saturday. Now here we are on Tuesday, and we're still kind of figuring it out. Iran has made their decision already, and clearly so have the insurgents.
It does feel like the situation is blowing up.
But it feels like deja vu all over again. Make a decision. Our foreign policies have been so terrible, and all we're doing is seeing the market jittery again. Oil up, and it's not just Iraq we're worried about in the oil market, right? You got Libya, the Ukraine, Syria. Yeah. You got all this stuff playing into oil right now. We could probably see $115, $116 a barrel going into the summer driving season. That's not so great.
Okay, in the meantime, speaking of the market, I want to show you SolarCity right now. Shares soaring following Elon Musk's announcement that the company plans to build the world's largest solar panel factory, although he is very quick to say that this is all about making solar power without government subsidies. What do you think about that one, James?
Well, it's good for upstate New York. I mean, Elon Musk, the guy clearly never sleeps. But there's already excess capacity in this business, and he wants to, I guess he's grabbing this thing because he feels they're the most efficient creator of panels. He's making a big bet that if solar is going to become the dominant source of energy, that there'll be lots of panels need to be manufactured, but there already is an excess capacity. So good for upstate New York, though.
I mean, his tweet said specifically right on the heels of this announcement, the goal is for unsubsidized solar power to cost less than grid electricity from coal and fracked gas. Do you believe that, Tracy? Unsubsidized was what he's focused on.
Look, I think that's why the stock is up today. The market loves this guy because he's just going out there and doing stuff himself. He's looking at 10 gigawatts of high-efficiency panels per year. We're not even close to that now. The price of this stuff has come down so precipitously, but he seems to think the demand is there. I kind of think he might be onto something.
I mean, he's also talking about changing the technology, which would be essential in order to make this affordable. A unique combination of high energy output at a low cost. Brian, are you on the solar bandwagon?
Well, first off, my favorite unit of measurement is gigawatt, so this works out perfect. Thanks for seating me next to Tracy. Number two is I've been waiting since 1973 for the solar energy to take over for the metric system to dominate, neither of which has happened. And I like the fact that he's doing it, not asking for money, but he's also looking to go into space. Yeah. He's got to focus. I'm afraid he's not going to amount it to anything if he keeps on sitting all over.
Right, he's just going to fizzle out. Yeah, no, he is taking subsidy now, but he's saying I don't need it, and over time we're going to make this into an affordable thing.
Got subsidy now, and I'm telling you, New York's subsidizing this expansion as well, so it might be a heads he wins and tails we lose.
Well, the shareholders are happy, that's for sure.
That's true. General Motors recalling another 3.4 million cars. The automaker has now recalled more vehicles this year than it sold in the past 2 years combined. James, you love this stock?
I can't believe the sales are up for this company, and the stock is up for this company, despite the fact that they're now doing an entirely different recall, a different issue with the switch. Don't hang anything from the keychain, and yet again, people keep buying these cars.
And they hit the almighty Cadillac. Like, I thought that was Teflon through all this, but it's the Cadillac now that's being recalled. Old people across the board are just upset.
And Tracy, they got to settle all these suits. They got to settle all these suits now, and then the way they're breaking up who gets what. If you're in the back seat and die, you're not going to get anything. If you're in the front seat and die, well, we're going to give you guys something. But it all happened because they were in your car. However, I have a Chevy Tahoe. I've never been happier. One of the best cars I ever had. And I'd go back to GM.
Wow. Well, that kind of says it all right there. All right. So speaking of testifying, Congress is calling the IRS commissioner to explain exactly what happened to all of Lois Lerner's missing emails. What I love about this is that if you went to the IRS and you said, oh, I'm so sorry, my computer crashed, I lost that data, what would they do to you? I mean, I've been told that's not an acceptable answer for the IRS.
I've been told that by Tracy and James. It's not acceptable. How could that possibly be it? It's like it's caught between the seats. Sorry, sir. There's no way you cannot retrieve emails for the past 2 years. That is absolutely unacceptable. What's crazy is nobody seems to care except us. And yet IRS affects everyone. The CBS Morning Show ran one story on it. We've been covering it, I think, in a very fair and balanced way, but no one seems to care.
But
I find it really disheartening.
It insults the American people that IRS actually, they think that we are going to buy the dog ate my homework excuse. Oh, sorry, I don't have it. We can't find it. It's over. It's okay.
And it's crazy. Another phony scandal, another made-up thing.
You know, the lack of compliance and oversight here, I do think, is what's bothering people. The emails is kind of humorous if it wasn't actually so real.
Right.
But the fact that somebody can put on their own personality into these audits and investigations, to me, or I guess inspections, is beyond. There is no oversight.
But lack of compliance in IRS, that's like an oxymoron. There should be no lack of compliance with the IRS.
All right, Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz saying a $15 an hour minimum wage would be a job killer for small businesses. So he was saying, you know, he could handle it, Starbucks could handle it, they could pay $15, but it would be so hard on the other guys. It actually would benefit him because he could pay it and it would drive the small little coffee houses out of business. So to Howard Schultz, I mean, he might have to pay $15 in the short term, but then he'd have less competition in the long term, right, James?
I appreciate what he came out and said. Small business is a huge job creator, and he's come out and said it will kill them. They will not be able to compete with guys like him. He also polled his own people and things like education. That's why he's doing this whole college initiative. That's what's most important to his employees, but he can uniquely afford to do that. Small businesses can't, and he's saying they can't even afford the $15 minimum.
And look, Starbucks was a small business at one point. Like,
right.
You know, don't forget where you came from.
And franchise owners are the licensees. They're small business owners. You know, they say that, okay, so the $15, they might do something, and they've done this in some cities where it only applies to chains and it only applies to large stores. But then the little guy tells you, if Starbucks is paying $15 an hour and they aren't, then they don't get any workers because everybody wants to go get the bigger wage. So no matter how you slice it or try to fix for it, it hurts the little guy.
The president said he's got a pen, he's going to use it, so he's going to sign this legislation,
right,
he's going to have
phone.
it. Why wouldn't you at least meet with people like Howard Schultz, clearly a supporter and a friendly voice? Why wouldn't you start with your mini think tank that you can put together in an afternoon and have a staffer do it and say, hey, what would the effect be on the economy if we do this? What would be on the big business? Sure, this person's happy, but what if there's no company for them to work on? Why are we finding this out on the fly? Right. It's an effort to get votes. Well, it's not an effort to heal our economy.
Because the CBO did their own study, and they ran the numbers on what it would cost and said it would cost about 500,000 jobs, and they don't like that math. So it doesn't matter what facts you present to the administration about why this is a bad idea for business. Well, they're just going to ignore it and keep going.
Because Brian's exactly right. It's all about votes. You want to get these young kids, because these young kids who voted him in are completely disheartened right now. So he's got to throw them a bone, or they're not going to vote again.
Okay, and you thought they weren't gonna win. Get it? Get it? The United States pulling off a stunning victory against Ghana in the World Cup. Brian Kilmeade, were you riveted by this? Were you watching every minute? Were you the one that was watching?
Well, here's the Melissa. The rating got a 7-0, which is huge on network television. And if you count all the people who jammed into the sports bars, if you go to 33rd, 34th, all by Penn Station, there were 7 deep in the street watching through the reflection in a
So you're saying
window.
I'm the only one that doesn't care about this?
You will be watching by next week some Portugal at noon on Sunday. Don't call Melissa Francis's voicemail or stop your butler in the street. She's going to be watching. Yes. She's going to be watching the game. People care, especially
Did you
when
watch?
they win.
Did either of you guys watch? You watched.
Well, I didn't, but
No,
no, but I was doing
yes.
James,
well, I didn't.
James
my
watched.
kids
I caught the end.
You caught the last minute.
I caught the end. I was a little busy, but I will say more people are watching these games than every major U.S. sporting finals combined. There is more people watching
around the world.
Around the
Here
world.
too.
Here's my own personal study at home. My kids, football, baseball, basketball kids, through and through, they're talking about this, and I think
so I'm it. I'm the only one. Me and Tracy, who claims to be watching,
I was doing laundry.
She wasn't watching. She was
Fox and ESPN both bought into the MLS. They're going to be co-running at $20 million. And when they first started in '96,
I understand why
when they started in '96,
maybe we should be too.
The MLS had to pay to get on television.
I'm changing my tune on soccer right now. Right now, this is it. I'm turning over. I had
Call me after the game. We'll review tactics.
We'll talk about it. Okay, good. All right, thanks, guys.
And jobs were going to be moving overseas, and American manufacturing's days were behind us. And yet, what we've seen over the last several years is American manufacturing come roaring back.
Well, it is roaring back, but it still has 1.7 million fewer jobs now than before the recession. Let's bring in James Frischling, along with Dominic Tavella from Diversified Private Wealth Advisors and Jonathan Honig from Capitalist Pig. He is also a Fox News contributor. So we kind of glossed over what the real problem is there. Manufacturing output has increased 30% since the recession began, but it now employs 1.7 million fewer people. Productivity at work should be a good thing for the economy. very bad for jobs? Dominic, I'll let you start. What do you think?
Well, to me, it's outrageous that he's sitting here in Pennsylvania claiming credit for this increase in jobs and increase in manufacturing. What increased the manufacturing, really a renaissance in this country, was the price of energy.
Right.
He's in Pennsylvania, the Marcellus Shale. $4 natural gas is what's doing it. You got Dow Chemical building the largest chemical plant it has in the world in Texas, natural gas. You got foreign manufacturers, auto manufacturers building plants in the Carolinas and Tennessee, natural gas. And this is a president that still won't sign on the Keystone Pipeline.
Jonathan, what do you think about that?
Well, the president, in my opinion, doesn't really understand what a job is or where wealth comes from. He still believes that spending money creates wealth, creates jobs. Where are all the green jobs he promised, that the justification of hundreds of billions of dollars, or the infrastructure jobs? The jobs that have been created are always created in the private marketplace because those are remunerative jobs. Those are jobs that actually have an economic purpose. And I don't respectfully, Melissa, agree that productivity leads to lost jobs. In fact, the more jobs that can be outsourced and replaced by computers and machines, the more better, higher paying, higher skilled jobs that can be created. But the president's efforts in terms of regulations and taxes has done everything to crash that.
I mean, let's talk about that, James. I mean, how do you get that out of this? So we're looking at energy is cheaper, manufacturing has come back as a result, production is up, but jobs are down, assumably because there's more automation, there's more robots out there. So where do the new jobs come from?
Oh, you're right. Doing more with less. Efficiency does not necessarily lead to more jobs. I think this is a unique moment where people are interested in domestic content. That's American-made. Education and training actually taking center stage. I actually think the administration right now could actually focus on giving incentives to companies to bring jobs back onshore. I think onshoring right now is in vogue if it is embraced with enforce the trade rules, make some tax
but
changes.
Does this lead to, go ahead.
We used to be primarily an agricultural society. 90% of us worked in agriculture. A lot of those jobs were offshored. I don't know, would the panel like to onshore all those jobs again? Offshore jobs are the low-skill jobs, the low-paying jobs. And what we're left for in a free economy are higher-paying and higher-skilled jobs.
So the logical extension, the logical extension of that would be that then we're creating jobs where somebody builds and fixes the robots that have replaced the people in these plants. But aren't there fewer of those jobs?
The pricing structure in this country is such that labor cost is that we have to compete against Europe and we have to compete against the Far East. They're paying between $8 and $12 a gallon for gas. We're paying $4. It makes our skilled labor much more competitive. We need to get that natural gas and oil to our factories, and all of a sudden our factories can be a lot more competitive. Those are high-paying, quality jobs.
We're going to leave it there. Thanks to all of you.